And we'll start admitting everybody. Hi, everybody. As you join, I'm going to be putting you on mute until we get everybody into the meeting. So thank you for joining us. Philip, good to see you again.
Likewise, sir. How are you?
Doing well.
See Brandon on here too.
So the way this works, typically we wait until about 5 after, just to make sure we don't have any technical issues or problems with anybody trying to log in. So I usually get a flurry of emails with people asking me to send them the link. So
I could make comments about following instructions, but I won't.
it's a little awkward getting that piece of paper in the mail and then having to type all the information in. I mean,
I know. I'm being facetious.
I don't blame people at all for getting frustrated about that. It's easier to just email me and say, send me the link. So
Yeah. Technology is a wonderful thing until it's not.
that's right. Everybody who just joined us, thank you so much for taking time with us tonight. We are waiting as people log in. So as you log in, I just put you on mute, and we probably won't start till about 5:05. We want to be respectful of your time though, so we'll move as quickly as we possibly can. We currently have 14 out of about 35 people who've registered who've actually joined into the meeting. So sorry for the delay, but I feel like we ought to wait just a few minutes.
I took a tip from Sean and blurred my background. Can't see my messy desk.
Sean, you're on mute.
Yeah.
I was saying, I keep looking for a photo of George Clooney with my name on it.
Well, it would provide good humor for us if you did that.
Yeah, it would. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. Zoom meetings are often awkward, and they're certainly awkward for neighborhood meetings, but we appreciate you taking time with us today. This Zoom meeting is required by the city of Franklin whenever a development plan is proposed. We are required to invite everyone that is within 500 feet of the property. So the list is provided by the city of Franklin, and we mail out letters to everyone who's within 500 feet. We did provide notice of that letter to the Gateway Village Homeowners Association. I believe that they posted it on their Facebook site as well. So this meeting is recorded, and there are two ways that you can communicate with us. One, you can just take yourself off mute. Just click the mute button and you can talk or ask a question. This is an informal presentation, so we're open to answering all of your questions, and we'll have plenty of time tonight to do that. I ask that you hold your questions until we finish the presentation, if you don't mind, though. We're happy to go back to any slide or reference any image that you see tonight. Another way that you can communicate with us is on the chat. So you can click on chat, open that up, and during the presentation, if you have a question or a thought that you want to make sure we answer, just type it into the chat menu or chat, and you can feel free to send that chat to everybody. And we will go through the questions that we receive both on chat and that are asked verbally. So tonight we have representatives from Ryan Communities, and Brandon, I think it might be appropriate if you want to introduce your team.
Yes, thanks, Greg. Thank you for taking the time this evening. My name is Brandon Raymond. I am the Director of Development with Ryan Companies and the overall project executive for this project. We also have today with us from Ryan, Brett Bunke, who is our Director of Architecture. He leads all the architecture related to senior living out of our Chicago office. And we also have Drew Roscos as well. He's the lead project architect specifically on this project. He will also be presenting a little bit later here. And then finally, an extension of Ryan Companies locally is Sean Hunt. He has been a consultant for Ryan Companies now for 4 to 5 years. He works closely with myself. He's a trusted partner, and he also is a good local contact for us as well.
Thank you, Brandon. I'll flip to the first slide here.
Yeah, so thank you. I'm going to, again, my name is Brandon. I'm going to quickly run through a couple slides here that tell you guys more about Ryan and senior living and who we partner with. I certainly think it's important to mention that. I'll go quickly through it though, so we can get more to the site plan and your questions. And also I encourage you to visit our website, or Sean's contact information is on the presentation as well. We're certainly happy to set up meetings as well. But Ryan Companies is a full service firm we're headquartered out of Minneapolis. We are development, construction, architecture, property management. So we feel like that's a very unique experience that our clients and our partners have with Ryan Companies, having us being a full service firm. So we have about 14 offices throughout the country. Sorry, Greg, if you go back one there. So we have 14 offices throughout the country, focusing on various sectors and service lines, such as multifamily, senior living, industrial, et cetera. But we're here today to talk about Franklin Senior Residences, the proposed project on the Clearview Baptist site. Specifically at Ryan, our senior living experience, I would say, is vast. We've developed and built over 32 communities now. We have almost 6,000 units that we've developed and built, and we're approaching $2 billion of project-related development at this point. So certainly, it's hard to see, but there's dots spread out throughout the country here, and so we feel like our experience is well traveled, and it's very selective, which I'll get into here on the next slide. So senior living is an operating business. It's very important whether it's a developer or owner, partners with when it comes to the operator. And we've been very strategic, very thoughtful about who we have partnered with on previous senior living projects and who we intend to partner with here. Just some examples here of who we have partnered with throughout the country, such as Life Care Services, LCS, out of Des Moines, Iowa. Grand Living is headquartered in Minneapolis. Cadence and Great Lakes Management. These have been very thoughtfully selected operators based on proven market experience, local presence, and also operation excellence. And I think what separates our partnership apart from other owners, other developers, is that they are not just an operator and management company of the community. They are also a co-owner and investor. So they're alongside us throughout this entire process and beyond, right? Once we develop, build, and the community is open, our operators are invested for the long run. So we feel like it's a very strategic partnership, and that's what we're bringing to Franklin Senior Residences. Here's an example of some of the senior living product that we've done throughout the country. You'll see Texas, Missouri, Arizona, Iowa. These are just examples of what the look and the quality of our communities would be. Of course, the architecture and the feel will be tailored to the local community in Franklin, but we just wanted to provide some examples of what we would be delivering to this market area. And we can certainly come back to that if you have questions as well when Drew is presenting. So to me, this is the most important slide. Why senior living in Franklin, or just why Franklin to begin with? Obviously, Ryan and its partners can go anywhere around the country and throughout really Nashville or Tennessee. But we do focus on market demographics. And so you'll see here on the left side, some of those particular demographics that we feel like are not only positive in the Franklin market area, but actually are some of the higher numbers we've seen, such as the senior households growing at 9%, or 65% of the senior households making 50,000 and above in annual income, and that goes to the rent levels that are proposed at the community. One of the really important demographic factors here that I think is surprising is the fact that the adult children household percentage is actually growing at 1.3% here in the Franklin market area, where nationally that's typically a declining percentage. And so we're super excited to be presenting and super excited to be here, or present an opportunity to be in Franklin because of some of these demographic reasons. We also look to the existing supply. 75% of the existing supply in the market area being more than 5 years old. That may not seem old from a building standpoint, but from a senior living standpoint, that actually is older. And why I say that is because even within 5 years, we would see communities that are offering a different experience, offering whether through operations, offering different amenities, offering different unit sizes. Maybe they're larger units, and we certainly think our product type and the newer product type are offering those. But I'd like to just finish here before we move on to Drew here presenting the site plan is really on the right side here. And again, this is why Franklin. So beyond the demographics, beyond what Ryan and our partners look to when it comes to the market research, it's also why we want to be located in certain communities. We are very selective on where we want to be throughout the country. And we feel that our ideal locations offer residents here, a combination of family services, top tier retail and entertainment options, well-established residential neighborhoods, religious outreach. And we certainly think that Franklin's, offerings, its substantial medical community, the existing retail and entertainment services, especially in the Cool Springs area, really checks all those boxes and probably exceeds some of what we would be looking for in communities. And so we're very excited to be here presenting tonight. And also the site itself being a neighbor to Clearview Baptist and also Gateway Village, couldn't ask for better neighbors, views, setting, the option for our senior residents to have Gateway Village right around the corner with the retail and restaurant options, as well as Clearview Baptist Church being an option for a religious organization. We couldn't be more excited about the location. And finally, we really encourage our residents to be out in the community. So it's very important, what that community is offering, as I just said. But we'll have such things as a transportation service that we are encouraging our residents to take advantage of, so they can be out in the community. And we'll talk later on, I think, about some of the amenities and how we actually like to draw in community groups and community members. So we really have this connectivity among our residents in the community. So again, thank you for your time. Happy to be here. With that, I'll turn it over to Drew Roscoe, who can walk through the site plan and some of the architecture, and then we'll get to some questions later. So thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Good evening, everyone. My name is Drew Roscos. I am a senior project designer at Ryan Companies. As an architect, I specialize in the design of senior living communities. I have a master's degree in gerontology, which is the study of the aging process. That expert knowledge provides me with the skill and guidance to intentionally design for older adults. So that's who I am, but I want to talk about the site. So most of you are aware of the proposed site, but I want to outline a couple of key site features and orient ourselves for the conversation. We have Clearview Baptist Church to the south of our site, so that's at the bottom of the page, and Gateway Village to the north, so that's at the top of the page. Our proposed building faces Franklin Road, which is sort of on the right portion. Yep. And it's set back a generous amount, that is 156 feet. To provide context, the Clearview Baptist Church is approximately 150 feet off of Franklin Road, and Gateway Village is 145 feet off of Franklin Road. So our proposed development maintains the street edge condition that is established by the existing buildings, our neighbors. Next slide. We are proposing a mixed-use, 3-story building with 2 internal courtyards. The senior living community will have independent living, assisted living, and memory care residents. Access to the site is from Franklin Road. There will also be cross access provided at the rear of the site, which provides access points to Gateway Village and to Clearview Baptist Church. The main entry and drop-off area will face Franklin Road, and the loading and trash will be screened from view, and it's located at the rear of the site. Next slide. Yeah, great. The majority of the amenity spaces are front and center when someone arrives at the drop-off area. We have amenity spaces, which are shown here in this color diagram by the salmon or pink color. We also have assisted living and memory care units shown in orange and yellow respectively. And then back of house, which is shown in tan or brown. We're taking advantage of the sloping grade on the site by digging into the hill and providing structured parking spaces within this level, which are, when you get towards the top of the site, the northwest corner, that area is below grade. But back to the amenity spaces. Those spaces are what give a sense of vibrancy and identity to the project. And sometimes it's easier to see similar pictures of what the space may look like and feel like when discussing a proposed development. So the next few slides will give a glimpse into the project we've designed, into a recent project we've designed. These are for a different senior living community that opened just this year. They identify, you can kind of scroll through them, great, thanks. They identify the types of cultural and wellness activities that we design. This also represents the caliber of materials and level of finish that is expected in our proposed development. Our goal is to create spaces that help and support the type of lifestyle that older adults are used to, and also feel encouraged to try new activities or hobbies. Thanks, Greg. And then this is a simple 3-dimensional massing model that shows the height and proportions of the overall project. It is not intended to have windows and doors and articulation. It's a simple extrusion of the project. We'll get to the more articulation later on in the presentation. So this helps to give or show some of the massing features of the site. To provide additional context, the tallest point on our building is approximately 1 foot taller than the tallest building at Gateway Village. And it's the same height as the ridge of the roof on Clearview Baptist Church. So you can tell from the proportions of this project, we are maintaining not only the street edge, but also the scale and proportion of similar buildings along Franklin Road. This is a perspective from Franklin Road, and it shows that we are seeking a style that is consistent with the colonial revival, which is common in the area. This style also lends itself to a residential character, which is something that the potential residents typically prefer when looking to make a transition to senior living. They want the building to be similar to styles they are familiar with. And lastly, we feel that the characteristics of colonial revival are consistent with the goals of Envision Franklin. Next slide. This is a view from the north side of the proposed building. You can see the gray road of Gateway Village on the bottom right of the slide. The next slide shows a section or a slice between the two properties, so we can provide context of how we will transition through our the 2 parcels of land. So just in the center of the slide, you'll see a gray line that Greg is highlighting. That's the approximate location of the property line. And so you'll see to the right of that is Gateway Village, the existing townhomes, and then to the left of that line is our proposed development. So what we're articulating here is that there is a belt of landscape buffer between the 2 developments. Next slide.
in addition to the retaining walls, how the retaining walls actually allow us to lower our building in contact in relationship to Gateway Village. That drop is about 6 or 7 feet.
Correct. We feel that that helps us make that transition. Thanks, Greg. And then I know that we talked about the perspective from Franklin Road, but these are some of the elevations that we've been developing. And so what we're trying to articulate here is that we're following the rich historic character that is so strong in the city of Franklin. And so we're trying to create a pedestrian-friendly, scalable building. You can see just to the right of the center of the page on the east elevation is the drop-off area. And that's the area where people will arrive at the building. So we're trying to make that the most special part of the elevation. In addition, these massing changes that we're doing are articulated by material changes using masonry and siding. And overall, we want to create an interesting and unique elevation. And then to close out our presentation, I'd like to talk about our next steps in the process. We are planning to submit for Planning Commission on July 28th, 2022. And then there are some elements of our project that we need to ask the City of Franklin for modifications to standards. And our project is following the mixed use, neighborhood mixed use category because we are comprised of 2 use types. Those use types are continuum of care and multifamily. The mixed use zoning ordinance requires in the City of Franklin are written for more retail focused uses. We do not have retail on our project, and therefore we would like to propose items that are more fitting with a senior living community and keeping with the Envision Franklin guidelines. The first one is that we are proposing to have a 10-foot floor to ceiling height instead of a 13-foot floor to ceiling height. This will help keep the overall building height at an appropriate height and will help us maintain a similar height with Clearview Baptist Church and Gateway Village. The next one is we would like to limit the number of entrances to the building. The zoning ordinance requires a new entry to the building every 18 to 200 feet. But we would like to propose what is appropriate for senior living use by limiting the entrances to a few key amenity areas. And then lastly, we would prefer the project have a sloped roof. Again, we believe this will be the best approach for the residents and the best strategy for meeting with the goals of Envision Franklin.
Also, I want to clarify the use of multifamily as a part of the building are the independent living flats that are incorporated into the overall campus.
Correct. Thanks, Greg.
With that, we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. We have a few questions that were emailed to us before the meeting began, and I'd like to go ahead and read those and answer these questions for you, probably questions that you all may have. As it is drawn, there's a connection to Moher Boulevard. Will this be lined up and will it remain as a drive? So yes, this drive will connect. It will align with Moher Boulevard and will connect all the way over to the church's parking lot. This is a private drive, so it's not a part of the public roadway system. Will what we see in the drawing be separated from parcels 5 and 6 as a separate property and sold? So he's referring to, this question is referring to the fact that we have approximately 25 acres in 2 parcels, and there will be a line established approximately here that will create an open space lot for this area. These 2 areas have Hilltop Hillside overlay on them, and that area that's in Hilltop Hillside overlay is preserved property per the City of Franklin zoning ordinance. At this point, Ryan Companies is planning on owning all of the land that you see here. It's just that the open space lot in the back will be preserved. You're using about 3.2 acres of parcel 6 and 4.6 acres of parcel 5. What is the plan for the leftover acreage that lies to the west of where the buildings and the driveways are? And again, that property will just remain open space. Are there any plans to connect with Windsor Way in Highgate subdivision? No, the extent of development is what's been presented tonight. So there's no plan for any connection to, this is Windsor Way right here, by the way. So no plans for any connectivity to that neighborhood. So with that, feel free to type any questions that you may have on chat, or just take yourself off mute if you have a question. We were thorough. Any thoughts then? Things that you like as a part of our plan, or?
Well, quite honestly, job well done for this presentation. Certainly answered all the questions that I had. Very excited about the potential here. Is this a for sure build, or is this still just in a proposal phase?
Yeah, great. Let me talk through that. So whenever a development plan is proposed in Franklin, the very first step is to have a neighborhood meeting. After the neighborhood meeting, then we file for the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission that we have filed for, will be filing for, sorry, we haven't filed yet, but will be filing for, is on July the 28th. Following the Planning Commission's review, it goes to the board, mayor, and alderman for 3 readings. And the second reading at the board, mayor, and alderman is a public hearing, and the Planning Commission meeting is a public hearing. So you'll have 2 opportunities to speak, to make your voice known during this process. But that process typically takes about 5 months. And after that period, then we move to construction documents if it's successful. And then construction here, Brandon, approximately how much time?
It's approximately 24 months.
About 24 months of construction, so.
And I'll just add to that, Greg's referring to kind of the zoning process, which of course we have to go through, but Ryan Companies and our partners that we already are working with are fully committed to this project. Of course, we have to go through the zoning process. And if successful, there's no doubt we would continue with this proposed project.
So do you have a target go date for move-in date, target completion date?
Well, if we anticipate making it through the zoning process and then also having whether it's a foundation or building permit to close and get under construction, if we called that about a year from now and 2 years of construction, give or take, we're really looking at about a 3-year, maybe or a little less period to when we'd be officially open and obviously having residents move in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Beth is our traffic engineer, and she's on the call with us. Beth, we have a question that Shelley's asking here. You may have addressed this, but how much traffic do you expect to be added to Mohair Boulevard? Do we have a distribution from this development to the Mohair Boulevard? That is the road that is here in Gateway Village that we're connecting to.
Yeah, let me see. So here, I can turn my camera on so y'all can see me as well.
Yeah.
So in general, I'm going to generalize first. The project is expected to generate less than or about 50 peak hour trips. So in the hour during rush hour, the number is officially 56, which is a pretty low number, which matches the I think is understandable based on the use and size of the project. We have a very low percentage of trips that we anticipate to use Mohair Boulevard. Let me zoom in on this so I can read it. I'll say in one direction in either of the peak, meaning AM or morning or afternoon, we anticipate 15 cars or less.
I also want to
Nothing.
stress that with the city of Franklin's requirements, we are required to tie the sidewalks in. The most likely pedestrian connection would be located about here where I've drawn the purple line. We also have a requirement of the city of Franklin to construct a sidewalk here along Franklin Road. I know that really doesn't connect to anything now, but in the future, potentially as Franklin Road continues to be improved, additional sidewalks will be added. We have a comment that Meher may be used to turn left at the new light at Davenport. And I can see how there could be some cross traffic to get to the signal.
A little of that may happen, but again, the total trips generated is not very high for this development.
Really, we're looking at employees that are coming to work and children who are coming to visit their parents predominantly. And it's really spread out throughout the day as opposed to having it all at once.
Yeah, and I'll just add, Greg, I think that's an important point that most of the traffic generated or trips, in our minds, are kind of those off-peak hours. You know, our employee shifts, for example, might be, or it is 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So those employees that are starting at 7 a.m. are obviously driving to the community, you know, well before that. So I mean, they're probably even a little early before a typical morning rush hour maybe. So I just wanted to make a point that a lot of our traffic is off-peak hours, but and then also just with the senior living use in general, we typically wouldn't see a lot of traffic generated. And the fact that we're going to have a community bus and encourage maybe carpooling and whatnot to some of the local amenities, I think that also helps reduce maybe some of the typical traffic trips that are generated for other uses.
Any other comments or questions?
Only thing I had to say is I'm very excited about this, and that my mother is 89 years old and is in a independent living facilities locally, and is very excited about the potential moving in here. So you guys need to hurry up and get this built.
Brandon, get on it.
Yeah, well, I could, although I gave you guys the time frame, I can assure you we'd like to move as fast as we can as well. So you have that promise.
Well, so would Mom.
Sounds like a plan.
We have a
Appreciate
question here, Drew, from Alderman Brown. What is the split of independent living and assisted living?
We have proposed for 200. Is it in units or area? Or do you care?
You can do units,
Okay.
beds.
We are proposing 215 units. And 130 of those would be independent living. So
About half, 50-50.
yeah.
Thank you, Drew.
Mhm.
Well, we really appreciate everybody's time tonight. If there are no other further questions, we'll wrap up. So thank you very much. And you're welcome to reach out to us anytime through this process. We're certainly make ourselves available. And I think you have my email address and phone number on the letter that you received. So please feel free to use it at any point.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Great. Bye.